Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Kyle Henderson of BAMA Football on YouTube. Coming up next, it's Nick Saban's weekly SEC teleconference where he talks about the quarterback competition going into week 3. He also highlights Alabama wide receiver Jermaine Burton, who's been playing really well through 2 weeks. And also at the back end of the SEC teleconference, I got Alex Golish, the University of South Florida football coach. I got his press conference. I boosted the audio for you guys to check out. Remember, he was the OC at Tennessee last year. It's a really good press conference worth watching. Tonight, on Wednesday night, you got Nick Saban's press conference. We'll bring that right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe, and we'll catch you soon back here at Bama Football on YouTube.
To ask a question for Coach Saban, please press 10 on your telephone's keypad now. And Coach, while I wait on any questions, if you could take a moment to comment on your team as you enter the USF game on Saturday.
Yeah, well, I think it's important that everybody responds the right way and that doesn't waste a failing in terms of the things that we need to improve on, the things that we need to clean up, some of the things that we didn't execute very well in the last game, and make the kind of improvements we need to make to play to a standard that's going to give us an opportunity to be successful. And that's the point of focus. I mean, every team you play is challenging technically in terms of what you have to do to go out and be able to execute. And, you know, this team that we're playing this week is no exception to that.
For questions, press 10, and we'll begin with Mike Rodak of 24/7 Sports.
How effective have the leaders on the team been in policing and being vocal about some of the practice habits of their teammates if they see something that's not up to snuff?
Yeah, well, I don't think we've had, bad practice habits. I don't think there's been times when we haven't done things particularly well, and we want to get those things corrected. And I've been, pretty pleased with the way the players on the team that are the leaders of the team have responded and tried to hold people accountable.
Next is Matt Baker of the Tampa Times.
Hey, Nick, I'm curious, what jumps out to you on film when you looked at USF?
Well, they play really aggressively on defense, a lot of stunts, a lot of blitzes, a lot of pressures, play hard. Offensively, their system and scheme is very similar to, Tennessee, which they spread you out. The quarterback has done a really good job. They got 2 good runners. They've been able to make plays and have balance run and pass, and I think they've been, really, really effective, and it's going to be really challenging for us, on both sides of the ball.
Thank you.
Next is Mike Griffith of AJC Dog Nation.
Coach, Jermaine Burton, he had 3 touchdown catches. A couple of them were called back. Could you comment on his development, growth, and importance to the offense?
Yeah, he's, done really well so far this year, and obviously not his fault that somebody else committed a penalty when, he had the opportunity to make a play. And, his consistency and performance has been, very good to this point. We're very pleased with the progress he's made, and we want him to continue to grow and develop and show the maturity and dependability that you need to have to be an outstanding player, which he certainly is capable of being and has been for us.
For questions, press 10, and we'll continue with Steve Moulton at WZZN.
Coach, hope you're doing well today. I wanted to ask, you mentioned about South Florida spreading it out much like what you saw out of Tennessee last year. So what kind of, if I could get an evaluation out of your secondary, what have you seen out of that group, and where would you like to see some improvement?
Well, we obviously didn't play very well in the last game. We gave up a lot of explosive plays, and we take responsibility for that as coaches. We got to try to get our players, better prepared and for what they're going to see. And but I like the group. Their attitude has been good. They're working hard. Got a different kind of challenge this week, so I think the continuity will help. Last week not having continuity, all the guys in practice all week was a little bit of an issue, and that's something that we haven't had to deal with this week.
And, Coach, if I could ask about the quarterback room in particular, in terms of what kind of energy you're seeing out of the quarterback room and what kind of competition potentially for the starting job are you seeing this week, Coach?
Well, we evaluate every position, every week. And, if guys want security in their position, they need to play well. Everybody on our team knows that. And I think everybody's responded in a positive way to try to get better and to improve, and we'll constantly evaluate that position as we do every other position.
Thank you, Coach.
I think we have a follow-up from Mike Griffiths.
Yeah, Coach, we've heard how your players have responded in terms of the emotion and being challenged. Is proven as you are with all your championships and all your accomplishments, do you still feel emotional challenges when you hear your program challenged, or when people say that, this great dynasty you've created, might be coming to some end because of one loss? Does that still affect you emotionally, or does that really not factor into your makeup or approach?
Well, my approach is try to play to a standard, try to get our players to play to a standard. And, when we don't play to a standard, I don't need anybody else to criticize. I've got pride in performance just like everybody else in this organization. So, we want to try to get it right. We want to try to do everything we can to get people to play to a standard. And, that's what we're focused on. My standard comes from within me, not from some external motivation that comes from someplace else. And I haven't even heard or read any of those things because I don't really pay a lot of attention to it. I do pay a lot of attention to what we're doing here internally and how we can get it fixed so that, our players have a better chance to be successful.
Thank you.
Next is Nick Alvarez of AL.com.
Hey, Nick. Kool-Aid told us yesterday that he feels that players need to be open to asking more questions, even himself, about, what schemes you guys are trying to get across in the secondary. Do you feel like there's been enough communication with the team, like from an install standpoint to kind of a film review standpoint, to make sure it's not just you guys got it right and then kind of move on and, make sure that they're not, just maybe nodding their heads and making sure that they're actually understanding the concepts you guys are trying
to do? I think that's all part of preparation. I mean, it's a part of preparation from, our standpoint as coaches and teachers, and from, their standpoint in terms of comprehending exactly what we, want to do or trying to do. And then I think they got to carry that communication on the field so that they can play well together and have a good understanding of exactly what they're supposed to do and how they're supposed to do it. So, we're responsible that as teachers that the students get it right, and there's got to be a high level of communication both ways. I think sometimes, people don't want to ask questions because they don't want you to know what they don't know, but we're constantly, encouraging our players to, do you understand? Is there any questions? And I actually coach the players, and we all coach the players and ask them a lot of questions periodically when we're teaching, like, what are we in here? What should we have done? How do we adjust to this? So that you're getting them to communicate, and you actually are getting a good feel for what their level of understanding is.
Next is Kennington Smith of The Athletic.
Morning, Coach. Hope you're doing well. You mentioned creating separation as an area of improvement for the receiver group. I'm curious, how do you practice those things day to day, and what progress have you seen from that group in the early week of practice?
Yeah, they've done well so far this week. I think that, you're always trying to coach guys on good techniques and terms of how to release at the line if they're getting pressed, and, how they run the route at the top of the route so they can create separation at the top of the route. And I think our guys are working hard at trying to do that well. And, they want the ball, so they want to get open. So we want to try to help them get open. And I think the attitude has been good.
all your time today, Coach. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
How's everybody doing? Awesome. That sounds like everybody's elite and rocking and rolling. Appreciate everybody being here. Start off, again, I said it after the game, but more importantly than anybody, I want to thank the students for coming out on Saturday. That was really cool. That part of it is what it should be. Thank the fans that came out. I think they said 36,000. That's really, really cool. So I don't have another word other than cool. That's what college football should be. There should be an awesome crowd. We got to earn the right to get people excited about college football in Tampa, and it was certainly good to get away with a win. I think in a lot of ways, obviously a win's a win, and they're hard to get in college football, but in a lot of ways I was really happy, proud that our kids played hard. I thought for 2 weeks in a row our kids played hard in all three phases. I wasn't super proud of the way at times we played, some post-whistle penalties. There was some in-game penalties on special teams that are preventable. More than anything else, it was the way at times that it went. And that's what I addressed with the team. Again, effort, really, really good, which is the standard, and it should be. I thought some of the stuff I was disappointed in, the penalties, even some of the celebration stuff, get an interception and we're running over to a student section. Like, I thought that stuff was really immature and not what I had expected. I thought the week before we handled that stuff a lot better. So the pieces I was really disappointed in, I talked about laying a foundation. That's what we're doing in terms of laying a foundation for what this program is and what it's going to be. There were some of those things that I thought were honestly embarrassing and ridiculous. So I addressed it with the team yesterday. We turned the page, turned it to Alabama, and certainly excited to play at home on Saturday on a big stage against a good opponent at home. It'll be really exciting. So we got to go to work. We just finished with our Tuesday practice, which is a heavy work day. Tomorrow will be a heavy work day. And then we'll start tightening it up on Thursday, Friday, get ready for the game on Saturday afternoon. So I'll open up to questions.
Alex, a few years ago when Scott Frost was at Central Florida, they faced a somewhat similar situation. They were going up to play Michigan. And instead of presenting it to his team as just another game, he presented it to them as a challenge. He said, look, this is what we want to be. Go up there and let's see how we measure up. And his kids really bought into that. They got really excited about it. Are you presenting this as just another game, the next game on our schedule, or are you doing anything like that?
Yeah, I'm not. Obviously, I wasn't there. I have no idea how that was actually presented. It's our next game, so it's the most important game, which is how they all are. I don't think any of our kids are naive to know that we're playing a really good football team. Challenge, again, I think these guys are aware of who we're playing. They're aware of who is favored to win. For us, I don't know if it's just another game. There's going to be 65,000 people there. In terms of that, in terms of environment and all those things, it should be a really cool game. But challenge, yeah, I think they're all a challenge. We've won 4 games in 3.5 years. I'd say they're all a challenge. That's what we're trying to change, that you got to rely on something other than a hope and a prayer. You got to rely on a foundation. And the one thing that we keep talking about is be the best version of us, which is play really hard, play really smart, execute at a high clip on all 3 sides of the ball. When we do that, we'll earn the opportunity to go win football games. So we did enough of that on Saturday to go win football game. If we do all of that, we'll earn the right to win a football game on Saturday. So, yeah, I get the reference. I don't really know how it went there. For us, it's the next football game, which is the most important football game.
Coach, 2 questions. The first one, the hardest thing to determine on film is speed. You and a lot of members of your staff have seen Alabama up close and personal. Does that help in game planning?
Yeah, I don't understand the question.
You've seen Alabama yourself, actually, how fast these guys are. You can help your players, help your staff, and say, hey, this guy, you know what you're looking at a lot.
Gotcha. You can see guys run on tape. We actually have technology that called telemetry gives us their actual speeds. Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't understand the question either. Have I seen these guys in person? This will be my third year in a row seeing them. Speed-wise, I think it's all relative, right? Like, you watch the film, you have scouting reports, our players study those guys, and are you asking, are they faster than like another team?
Are they the fastest team you've seen so far?
They're the fastest team we've seen in 3 weeks, yes. Yeah.
Coach, second question. When Admiral Yamamoto was told that Pearl Harbor was a sneak attack, he said we woke a sleeping giant. You think Texas woke Alabama up and they're not going to look past anybody this week?
Yeah, I got no idea on that. Texas is really good on film. I was really impressed by what they look like, what they built. Alabama is Alabama, right? They've won 6 national titles in 15 years, 16 years. Those guys know how to win. They know how to work. They got good football coaches. They got really good players. I imagine for them this is the most important game on their schedule because it's the next one as well.
Alex, how concerned are you about your pass protection at this point? Byron's been hit an awful lot the first 2 games.
Yeah. Concerned in terms of we got to continue to work to fix a lot of things in there. You know, I think the O-line gets a lot of heat on that. And this week, we gave up 6. 3 of them were on the O-line. 3 of them were on me and everybody else, meaning either we're not putting them in the right situation or we're not getting open, or at running back or at tight end we're not quite holding up enough, or we're just not putting the ball out on time, you know, and it's all of that is a huge combination. We talked the last 2 weeks, man, one of our points of emphasis to winning was protecting the quarterback, and I think it's going to continue to be for the rest of time, you know, in terms of if you're going to put the ball in the air a bunch. But it really is everybody's job, and not to sound cliche on it, I mean, wideout's got to get open, running back's got to protect, we got to scheme it the right way. So there's so much that goes into it, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've given up 12 in 2 weeks. That's a lot. So certainly a huge point of emphasis, and a lot of scrambles where Byram has created some positives, you know, which is encouraging. But absolutely, especially as you're getting a young quarterback, confident young quarterback, getting him ready to go, and you're selling confidence to him, for him to be able to set his feet and deliver a football is really, really important. So, yeah, I don't know, concerned, a huge point of emphasis, for sure, especially as you go up against a good defensive line and, you know, and certainly a good scheme that you're going to have to hold up.
This might sound like a simplistic question, but as you have observed Alabama, what makes them good other than they've got a bunch of good players? And what is it about what they do that makes them so darn consistent for decades?
Yeah. You know, I think several things. Obviously, having really good players is a piece of it. They play really hard. They've recruited to a scheme on both sides of the ball for a really long time. You know, when they made a systematic change offensively, they've recruited to that scheme in terms of having a dual threat quarterback, and so therefore you can recruit different on the perimeter, going more to a spread, no huddle type offense. They've been able to recruit to that. Defensively, they've evolved, but they've recruited to a system for a really long time. So you know what you're getting in terms of when you're recruiting, this guy's going to be here, and you allow him to develop and grow in a system. I think when you have consistency in that way, and even though there's been coaching change, the system on both sides of the ball has really stayed the same. So they've recruited to the same system for a long time. And that's what makes a program really good, is the consistency of scheme, consistency of expectations, and then obviously as you win, that's contagious and helps recruiting and all those things. So it's a program, You know, I think in a lot of ways it's what everybody strives to be is a consistent program. And as you lose coaches and being able to plug and play and say, this is what we do, and then you're just plugging coaches into that.
A lot of programs would not choose to play a school like Alabama. What is the advantage for your program to play this game and to play them later? What do you hope to emerge from for this type of competition?
Yeah, I think it's another measuring stick for us. You know, like I thought week 1 was that we go up against a football team that's won a bunch the last 2 years, that's consistent in what they do, that I thought was physical, I thought was tough, I thought schematically was really sound. It was a really good measuring stick for us. You know, like I wanted to see what we look like. You go week 2 against a good FCS team, a team that's also won 18 games in the last 2 years. Another good measuring stick. Like, how do our kids handle that? I just told you how I felt like we handled it. I thought we handled it just all right. I thought week 1 we handled it extremely well. And now you get a team coming in here that's a really good football team, a top 10 preseason football team in the country. Where do we measure up there? So that's why I know I seem short with my answer on all these like analogies or mythical like man, we got to go strap up and line up against another man and go at it for 3.5 hours, one-on-one, and whack heads. That's what it is. You gotta scheme the right way. You gotta execute the right way. We gotta protect the quarterback. We gotta tackle in space. Like, it's no different, no matter who you're playing. And that's why I'm not like a giant fan of like all the David Goliath, like all of like it's another squad that you get to go in, and it's another test for us as we lay the foundation for what we're doing. And just like I've talked about going into the season, like the end result I'm going to get evaluated on, we'll get evaluated on, and it's going to be talked about. But for me, our process to what it actually looks like on a Saturday right now is the most important thing. And the part of it that our guys are still learning, and I think we'll continue to learn, is that we don't control the end result of that game. We control this week, like we control what Tuesday practice look like. We control what the rest of the day looks like, tonight looks like, how we show up in the morning. Like, we control all that. Saturday will be a byproduct of what the week is. And anybody that's ever played sports can attest to that, right? And so that's how it rolls. And our guys are slowly understanding that. Again, you're taking a program that hasn't had success in terms of wins and losses. You bring in a whole bunch of new people and you blow the entire thing up. And you say, this is how it's going to be, and you hold people to that standard. So you're going to see ebbs and flows. And so far, I've been really proud of the effort that we're going to work with. What the end result is will be a direct reflection of what this week looked like.
Alex, what did you take away from the game against Alabama last year, for you personally?
Yeah. Playing them 2 times in a row, I think, like, you go in year 1, you see a system, like for them, and obviously I was on one side of the ball, but you see a system that's consistent in that conference. Like, there's a lot of people that have gone out of that tree and have played, that are coaching in that league now. And so I felt like you see that scheme over and over again, and you're navigating it, trying to find the right ways to attack it. In year 1, I thought we were on the right stuff, just didn't have the bullets to go finish it in the fourth quarter. And then last year, felt like we found an answer, found a way to create some explosives, and then kept exploiting that, which was cool from a schematic standpoint. Executed at a high clip. We were prepared for that moment at that time as a program. And so what I gathered from that was it took us 1.5 years of seeing the same scheme and then actually having the right answers for how we were going to attack it. So I think it was like a culmination of a lot that went into that game in terms of seeing the same scheme over and over and over again and trying different things and having different answers. And as a program at that point last year, I thought we were ready for that moment. Like, our process was right for that moment to happen. So that's what I was talking about earlier, is like, at what point will we get our process to where it's right for the moment? Whether it's Alabama or it's Rice or it's Navy, it doesn't matter. Like, will our process be right enough to go attack it?
You have to talk about being on a stage like this, or you trust the process will make it right on Saturday?
I've got to trust that the process will make it right. I got to keep attacking, keep pointing out where it isn't right, and keep giving them and educating them tools to make it right.
Coach, you kind of mentioned already the 65,000 you're expecting on hand. Alabama obviously travels well. Are you worried about a road atmosphere in your home stadium?
I guess I hadn't thought about that. Should I be?
You're the one that coached in the SEC, you tell me.
Yeah, I would certainly hope not. It'll be cool, though. It'll be fun.
Coaches, as you prepare for this game with the excitement you talked about the players having, how do you manage their emotion during the week so that they don't, for lack of a better phrase, peak too soon in their preparation?
Yeah, by making it exactly the same as it was last week and the week before, and what it's going to be like week 10 and 11 and 12. Going back to your question of, it's the same. Tuesday, practice, how we installed it last night to this morning, it's all the same. So you keep it exactly the same form so that their consistency in their preparation is exactly the same, so that there is no difference. You don't ever get up or get down. You stay exactly the same, which is ready at all times, and you build up to what Saturday looks like.
What do they do really well that you guys are preparing for this week?
Well, I think from just simply a size standpoint, like defensively up front at linebacker, like the front six is where it's uniquely different. There's just pure mass on the D-line. Linebacker, there's just bigger bodies than what you're used to seeing. Up front, on the other side of the ball, on the offensive line, bigger than what you're used to seeing. Other than that, I think skill for skill, you feel like you can match up. You feel like schematically you'll match up. It's winning up front on both sides of the ball, protecting the quarterback, being able to stop the run, those types of things. That's where it's a little bit different. That's where you got to make sure that where you feel like you have a size deficiency, that you're able to mask it with scheme.
They've been kind of struggling with the pass rush. I guess, how do you guys capitalize on that as an offense?
Yeah, I think part of that, is that people get rid of the ball quick. That's a little bit a part of it. I thought Texas did an incredible job protecting the quarterback. I thought their quarterback played extremely well, didn't allow himself to get in trouble. So I don't know if through 2 games you can really say that they struggle with a pass rush, because on film it doesn't look like they're struggling with a pass rush.
Good O-line.
What's that?
Good O-line from Texas. Man.
We'll take it.
Coach, does your familiarity with the team, you talked about playing Alabama 3 times, you beat them as a coordinator. How much can that familiarity, if at all, and personnel changes on both sides, theirs and yours, but how much does that help you prepare your team? And you were talking about what the SEC and what you can see, what kind of players they bring. How much does that help you as you get ready for this game, kind of take what you've learned to help USF on Saturday?
Yeah, I think certainly on the defensive side of the ball helps you understand the scheme. You can get to what you feel like are the answers quicker. But I think at the same time you've got to pour that information into the guys. You could scheme everything you want, but your guys better understand it. I think where it's interesting is like you spend less time trying to figure out what's going on and are able to get there a little bit quicker. Other than that, I think that's really the only part of playing somebody over and over again that helps you. At the same time, they've also seen at least offensively what the base presentation looks like as well, so it evens out.
What have you learned about?
Just your group of receivers after 2 weeks now, where do you think they're at? What are some things you want to continue to see, some things that you'd like to see cleaned up?
Yeah, I thought they took a huge jump from week 1 to week 2. I thought we played a lot cleaner. I thought, again, from an effort standpoint, they did a really good job of attacking. What we do offensively is hard for those guys in terms of how much stress we put on them. I thought effort was really good again. I thought from a technique and an execution standpoint, we took a step forward. I don't think it's anywhere near where we want to be. We got some guys back healthy. We got Michael Brown-Stevens back. We were able to play him a little bit. We got Huey Terry back. We were able to play him a little bit. We got Tyree Kelly, a series. We were able to get him going a little bit. Again, trying to increasingly grow the depth there so that we can roll more guys and we could be fresh and could play faster. But I thought they played a lot faster. I thought they were a lot more decisive. I thought Naeem Simmons took a huge step forward. I thought Sean Atkins took a huge step forward. So those two guys I was really proud of. Again, I think the longer you're in the system, the better you're going to continue to be. So I was really impressed for what they looked like in game 2 of year 1. Expect us to take another huge step this week and then just continue to get better and better. But really, it's a confidence deal. You look at that group of guys, and I should have mentioned Jaden Alexis played a bunch and was really impressed by him. But those guys, although a little bit older, like Naeem Simmons, this was his second Division I football game. Jaden Alexis, this was his second football game he's played in college. Sean Atkins has been a role guy here for a while, but second time he's been a starter here consistently. Chaffrey Brown was his second major role game since he's been in college, really. He's had a bunch of playing time, but in terms of a number 1 receiver, it's been his second one he's ever been a part of. So just growth as they get experience, and we could practice all we want. There's nothing like game experience. There's nothing like live bullets in that regard. So I've been proud of that group, though. They got to continue to grow, but depth is the key there for us, and as we continue to get healthy, I feel like we've got a chance to be pretty good there.
Did you look for a winning edge in this game? Is up front where you look first? How you compete on both sides of the line? Yeah, absolutely. I think the ability to run the football, protect the quarterback up on offense, and the ability to stop the run, and they're multidimensional with the quarterback being able to run, and just what they do with different sets. You've got to be able to stop the run. You've got to be able to win with it up front. But absolutely, that's the difference in the game is what we can do up front on both sides of the ball, in my opinion.
Coach, isn't this kind of why you take a head coaching job to get into a situation like this where you're playing against a nationally ranked team, you're at home, probably it might be one of the biggest crowds that you're going to have at home. You get a chance to show off your program. You're national television. You're going to have a packed house. It's a chance for you. Early on, it's game 3, but you kind of get to show what you're trying to do here at the university and with this program. I imagine that's got to be an exciting thing coming up.
Absolutely. It's really exciting. I don't know if it's the reason you took this job, but took this job because I wanted to build a program from the ground up and make this place relevant again. This is our 3rd game on the schedule. It is definitely a big stage for us to show off where we are. Again, just as much for us internally in the building as much as everybody else, but absolutely. And that's why I say I want to see us play really, really hard. I want to see us execute at a high clip because every week is important. This week just happens to be on a national stage against a really good opponent. So not minimizing it and not making it bigger than it is, it's the next step for us as a program. So it is. I think every time you go out there, you've got a chance to show what your program is doing, and it's the next step for us.
Have you had much interaction with Coach Saban over the years, and what do you think about what he's done to get to this point in his life and all his accomplishments? Yeah, I have not. Besides meeting him at one point on the road recruiting, I have not. What do you think of obviously this Hall of Fame career that he's built? He's a really good football coach, I would imagine. He's done a really good job building several programs throughout his career, but I don't know him like that.
I'm sorry to interrupt. How do you keep your players kind of level-headed, even-keeled throughout this week?
Yeah, I think by just working through our process. I know I keep saying it, and I don't mean to sound repetitive on it, but you just continue to work through it. You keep attacking our process. Like, again, you're trying to get your guys to understand that every single thing you do is really important. But it was the same thing last week, and it was the same thing the week before, that every single thing that you do, you got to have consistency. You got to have consistency so you know exactly what's coming next and you know how to attack it. And that way, if the end result isn't right, could point back to something. Again, the foundation. I sound like a broken record on that part of it, but that's all it is for us right now.
Coach, your defense had 5 takeaways last week. What did you see during that game, and like how important will performances like that in going towards like building the confidence of your defense?
Yeah, huge. We had 4. We had 1 on special teams, but absolutely huge. That was a huge challenge to them the week before, was we didn't have any, and offensively turned it over 3 times in week 1 and lost the turnover battle. That was the difference in the game. It was absolutely huge. For certainly you look at guys like Logan Berryhill, who had 2 picks. It was huge for him. Jalen Stokes, who had his first pick of his career, huge for him. But absolutely a huge confidence boost for those guys. Really, really proud of them. Really proud of just the effort that the defense continues to play with. Like, it's relentless. Like I mentioned earlier, not always super smart in terms of what we're doing, how we're doing it, from play to play, but effort masks a lot, especially on defense. And so I was super proud of them. I mean, in a lot of ways, that was the difference in the game. Again, you've got, 1 was to close out the game, but you've got 4 extra possessions. I think the flip of it is we only got 10 points out of that, which is not the standard. So really good. Got to grow. Got to combine it. Go play team football.
What are you expecting the energy to be like on Saturday when you march out of the tunnel?
I would imagine it'd be an awesome college football atmosphere. Yeah, it would be really cool. It'll be really cool. It's what you come to college to play in cool environments. This should be one of them. I thought Saturday night was really cool too.
Kind of following up on the experience you've had facing Alabama throughout your SEC career, how inquisitive have your players been in like kind of picking your own brain about those set experiences?
They haven't been. Try to make it about what's important, which has nothing to do with me, has everything to do with the kids. Obviously, the film it's on there. Talk about it. Certainly talk about schematically what's worked, what hasn't. But I get the question. I really made this about our players, South Florida, and what's next for us. I'm not trying to minimize anything in the past. I've said it 100 times. Nobody actually cares what I did. Our players certainly don't. They care about what we're doing now and what we can do to help them be really successful.
How was your attitude today? Players.
Yeah, I thought it was positive. I thought we got to clean up a bunch, which is like every Tuesday. Tuesday, I feel like you come out and you install, you put a bunch in, and it always is like somewhere between kind of sloppy and kind of good, and then you go in, you clean it up, and you come out tomorrow and you feel like it's cleaner, and you kind of build up as the week goes. I thought attitude-wise was awesome. I thought execution-wise it was what a normal Tuesday was. I thought guys are super locked in, super focused. It's always easier to coach harder after a win. So I think we were hard on them today to continue to perfect their process. But I thought it was a solid practice.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate y'all. We'll see you Saturday.